Hey everybody, this is Ian Thornley. You're watching Loud Guitars.
Hey guys, Drew Loud Guitars. I'm here with Ian Thornley of Big Wreck, and we're going to do a quick gear tour.
Where do we start, Bruce?
Well,
Bruce,
I guess...
Bruce Nickel, tech extraordinaire.
Hey there, I'm Bruce. This is the whole brains of the operation, I suppose, would be the Fort and Bones down here. That amp is the heart and soul of the rig currently. It's firing one of these 4x12s over here, brought to you by the good folks at Trainer. They can take a beat, and they do. Up top here, underneath all these 50, which fires half that other 2x12, which is the awesome sauce, I suppose you could say, when the boss wants to kind of give it the extra juice. The Soldano fires up. In the rack, we've got all kinds of stuff, toys.
Yeah, the good Pigtronic stuff is phenomenal. Been having a lot of fun with them. TC bit for some of the wet stuff. Couple delays. I don't know.
Talk to me a little bit about this distortion box.
Oh,
I've read a lot about this.
yeah, it's like an Octavia on steroids. But I mean, as you see, it's got an Octavia and a fuzz and an overdrive. But all three of them run in parallel, so they don't affect one another. But I just kind of leave it on one setting, which is sort of over the top. I use a lot of the Prescription Electronics Experience pedal. I have a couple of those that I've had since, college. And I still use them in the studio all the time. But my ones in particular have the great sound, but they're very unreliable, and sometimes decide to turn off or take a left turn on you. This is the closest I've heard to getting that sound. It actually has a little more gas. It's a lot cleaner, which for live is pretty essential because, as Bruce can tell you, we spent more than our share of time. He has certainly chasing down hums and buzzes, and it can be a nightmare with all this. And the Pigtronic stuff is just, each one of these pedals has a distinct personality. The distortion is no different. It's like a personality box.
Now, if you're using the Pro Control to control this stuff, what are you running through the loop, and what are you running direct into the face of the amps?
Well, as you would assume, it's the BB Plus, the distortion, the compressor, the Philosopher's Tune, and there's a fat drive in there somewhere too.
Yeah, it's
around
hidden
the back.
in the back.
Okay.
There's another Pigtronic fat drive, a fantastic sounding overdrive pedal. Those are all pushing the front end of the amp. And then this is sort of a really standard issue. It does a lot of things, but I use it basically just for a normal, clean digital delay. And I use the old green machine here for like a tape delay kind of thing that I can bring in and bring out. And that's all run through the loop. And the Class A boost is actually run through the loop as well and works like a charm.
Okay.
Which I never would have figured to try it like that, but we did, and it worked. There's a lot of things in this rig that are like, don't ask questions, because it's working today, So yeah, and then that's pretty much it, I think.
Now, which one of these heads are you running for your clean tone?
The Bones.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, and Mike Fortin is the mad genius who put it together. Has done a bunch of things to it since I acquired it. Just sort of tailoring it to how we were going to be running it. So throwing the loop, throwing an effects loop in it, and then a MIDI switchable jack so the ground controller, whatever the foot switcher, can tell it low, medium, or high gain.
Okay.
And then some sort of phase reversal, because I guess when you go to higher gain, the phase flips. So when I bring in the Soldano, all of a sudden I'm in a void. So it'll flip automatically.
And for some of your stuff, you often run the two tones at the same time. You're running
Big time.
a clean signal and a dirty signal.
I mean, I've always been a fan of running two amps, and I've done that for years. This is the first time that I usually run two with the Soldano on a tap. and just bring it in for accents or, you know, a little something extra. So this is the first time I'm not running stereo rig per se. It's just the bones is the meat and potatoes. And I figured with 3 guitar players, you know, how much noise do you really need, you know? And it has such a distinct tone and a great voice that it covers a lot of ground. So what I had him, now he's got one of my old Ampeg V4s that he's going to rebuild and turn it into something twice as frightening, I'm sure.
It's nice to see after all this time that you're still all that excited about.
Yeah, no,
about
I'm
the tones
a
and
gear geek, man. It's just like,
That's awesome.
you know, so pisses the wife off, but it really is like, you know.
What kind of speakers are you running in the cabs?
30s. They're vintage 30s.
All of them?
And the little guy, yeah, these are all vintage 30s. The little guys have greenbacks in them,
Okay.
which in smaller venues we tend to run the Soldano through the greenbacks. But they tend to get tired pretty quickly, I find, especially at the volumes when we're trying to get over that guy, because he's an incredibly loud drummer. So yeah, they get tired a little quicker. But these cabinets, as Bruce said, they're indestructible. The last batch that we were touring on, must have been 3 or 4 years, and they took a lot of abuse, and then they still sounded fresh. So I can't say enough good things about the people at Trainer.
Okay, and you've got a fairly big lineup of guitars here.
Yeah, this is actually toned down. I mean, this is Brian's stuff here. And there's a couple of, there's some more stuff there.
It's
But
a
yeah,
beautiful P90. It's an SGD, eh?
yeah, from the good people at Yamaha. Yeah, here's another one of those. They're fantastic. This one I put some of my old Rio Grands in there. This guy has been everywhere with me. And as opposed to some of the other companies that make this style of guitar, this is just a beautifully put together. It just sounds great, stays in tune.
Solid slab of
Yeah,
mahogany
and it's like when you put a certain pickup in it for a certain sound, that's the sound that you were envisioning. That's what you get. And then of course, the Old Faithful. This is I don't think we really talk about this one too much. We shouldn't.
Now, why are you wrapping the strings around the tailpiece on that one?
I heard a theory that you get more sustain, but
Okay.
with this guitar, I don't think you really need it. But honestly, after I did it, you do get a little more slack. It just because the angle over the bridge is lessened, so it's a little easier on the left hand. And I rest my right hand over the top of it. I just find it's a little more comfortable.
Okay.
So I've done it here too, and with this Nota burst, I've done it here.
Wow, that's interesting looking top.
Yeah.
Okay, what else are you running in here? You got a couple of Strats?
Couple Strats. There's all the basic super Strat. I think this was originally an Eric Johnson Strat. The neck, I took the neck off. Oh, I took the neck off and gave it to Brian.
Okay.
And then that neck, which was a bound rosewood neck, is now on a bound Tele Custom at home, which is like my slide guitar. And then this is an old neck that we had made in New York.
Size of that thing, man.
Yeah, I like the big ones. It's it's been one of my sort of frustrating things for me is just find the
size
right
neck.
necks, But yeah, no, this thing has been great. Again, Rio Grands, super switch in here, so you can do all kinds of funky stuff. Man-made bridge.
You don't do a lot of trim work yet.
Not really, but I have started, like on the last album, there's a song Control that, if I have a guitar lying around that I haven't blocked the trem off, it's maybe stumble on a riff or a lick or an idea, and it kind of becomes like that one. This one's working.
Tap out.
We call this the tap out because it looks like it's wearing an Affliction t-shirt and a gold chain or something, it's a bit of a...
Churchy model?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you bring out any of your Morse models?
I think there's one back there. Paulo's got a couple of mine over there.
Okay.
Like, it's sort of, there's a lot of guitars to choose from. I spray painted it black, and then I didn't like the black, so I took a sander to it. So it really looks bad now. But yeah, and I have a few of those. The original model, the Steve Morse model, and I rewire them so that I can just have the 2 single coils on that 3-way down the bottom. And that way I can have the main 3-way switch act as like I can go all the way to the neck. In the middle would be my Strat sound or my clean sound. Or for us, we generally use that for verses and things like that, and then just go boom, hit it all the way into the bridge, pick up for, you know, the eject button, as it were, and then you play the chorus and kids cheer.
And I see you've got the 6-string banjo.
The banjo, yeah. Well, this is Brian plays this for Ladylike.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, and I
Man.
use it. Yeah, go for it. It's your open C sharp minor right there. You know? Yeah, there's a lot of the reason there's a lot of guitars, and it does seem like a lot. It does seem like overkill. Is tunings. I mean, there's that tuning. There's this tuning. There's this tuning. There's this. They're all pretty much in different tunings. But having said that, there's tonal. You know how it is, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely. You've got so much music.
We're not
such a
flying,
wide array
so.
of tunings that it's understandable. I'm amazed that there's only that many guitars out there.
and here's another one. Just feel the neck on that bad boy. Yeah, it's one of the early Jeff Beck ones with the huge. When I was in college, there was a kid from Jersey, I think, that had one of these, and I just like, and he was like, the neck's too big, the neck's too big, and I was like, yeah. And then a few years ago, one came up on eBay. It was from New Jersey. I don't think it was the same guy or the same guitar, but yeah. And generally, I'm not a fan of these pickups. I generally, if I get a guitar that has them, I usually yank them and put something else in. But in this guitar, they really work, and it's like they sound so. I wouldn't know how to describe it. It's so.
Crystalline.
Yeah,
Sterile.
sort of, yeah, artificial almost, but in a good way.
It works for some stuff.
And it does work for the way I'm using it is, you know, leaning on that sound quite heavily.
Can we take a close look at the Ernie Ball double neck?
Absolutely. There you go.
Bare knuckle again?
No, these are DiMarzios, I believe.
Burst buckles?
No, I think down here the DiMarzio EJs.
Okay.
Like it's a really clean, almost Gretsch sounding,
Okay.
almost like a single coil. Which is great for the sort of glassy, and we use this on Albatross, and I usually have it in the middle, just running them both. And then up here, I think these are the 36th anniversary, so a bit more of a classic PAF sound with a bit more beef to it.
Now this particular guitar, it was made for you, right? Because they don't normally
No,
do this.
no.
The
I
Boss
think
12.
I think they made it for the guy from the Eagles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he wanted a white one or something like that. That's Glenn is the Ernie Ball guy. That's what he told me, but I don't know. It's
And
been
they
a
normally do it like
godsend.
this with the 12 on the bottom and 6 on top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which is different, right? Usually it's 12 on the top.
Right.
But yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's been even this just on its own is you can tune it up to standard. Like you don't have to do any of this weird stuff that I do with it. Just on its own, it sounds kick ass. It's just a huge hunk of wood, and it's a it's a really cozy neck. Yeah. I can't say enough good stuff about this guitar. We used it all over the new record. Like there's a lot of that tucked in behind things that where you wouldn't expect it. You know? Another coffee table. Yeah, I used all over the record. Yeah, this one's starting to get some wear. Again, these necks are generally make me cramp up a little because it's
It's thinner.
yeah, it's for the style of player that I wish I was, but I've never
I guess
really.
you use these when you're doing more of the shredding riffs and some.
Well, if I'm doing anything that's quicker, it's actually for the right hand. My right hand sits really comfortably on here. The left hand is the one that starts to cramp up because I hang my thumb over the top a lot.
Right.
So I usually like having something in there. And these guys, it's a beautiful sounding guitar, and they really have this down as far as it's a beautiful sounding neck pickup. In the middle, these split to the inside coils, and it's a really great, quite a unique Stratty sound because it's not there or there, it's there. And I've used this, I actually used this on a few songs on the album where you'd think, oh, for sure, that's Ian's old Strat. And it wasn't, it was one of these Petrucci's. So there's another one over there, it's actually the one I used in the studio. And now again, Paulo's using it.
Tight Grand Flame, eh?
Yeah, it's
Really?
Koa.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's got gold hardware, which is kind of corny, but that's why we call it a coffee table. We keep thinking we should get stickers on some of these things, but I couldn't do it. It's still a beautiful piece of wood. It starts to get dinged and,
Totally.
you know.
Probably a little on the bright side of this guitar.
Actually, no. It's a lot throatier than the other one, which is, I believe it's alder with a maple top on it, and then it's actually got a maple neck and an ebony board, and that one's really kind of zingy. This one's mahogany neck, so it's a little throatier, a little
Right.
deeper sounding.
Very, very cool.
Oh.
Nice looking guitar.
There's the box that Bruce created. Do not ask the question. Because, truth be told, we do not know the answer. We call it the Shrugginator. It makes you shrug. Then there's a tuner. Then there's a splitter. Then there's a MIDI, some kind of splitter thing. Bruce, you'd have to explain that. I don't know what all this.
Basically, this
area
little guy here.
does. I don't know.
So we go out of the Shrugginator into our tuner, out of our tuner into the Mike Fortin modified Super Vox Wah Wah.
Yeah, we now dubbed it the hairy tongue.
It's pretty insane. It's like 1,000K sweep or something ridiculous like that. It's 0 to 1 million. From there is the RJM Music Products Why Not ABY amp selector switcher, which splits the signal to the Fortin Bones or the Soldano. Also incorporated with the RJM is this MIDI Solutions quad through MIDI buffer. Basically keeps things nice and clean on the MIDI side. So when there's a programming or architecture change, the old ground control here doesn't get too confused. All the effect switching is done from the Ground Control Pro, which is
This all
as
down
advertised.
here. It's when I'm singing or whatever, my foot's usually here.
Okay.
And I'm riding the Soldano because it's always on and just sort of comes in and it'll be cleaner here or just all the way.
Okay.
But it's just a little 50 water so you can kind of pin it without taking anyone's head off.
Awesome. Well, dude.
Yeah, this is just a mess. But again, it's a guitar with a lot of personality.
Yeah, you did have a lipstick in this, didn't you?
I had 2 lipsticks in it,
Okay.
which I think I might go back to. These are Holy Grails.
You know what I tried that I really dig that you might want to check out? I was a beta tester for Seymour for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And their original custom shop antiquity lipsticks.
Those are the ones that I have, and I bought a baby blue EJ Strat that I put those pickups in. Colin Cripp's a friend of mine, and he's really tight with Seymour.
I put them in my 63 Strat. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I know, it's the glassiest, most beautiful.
'Cause
And I did it after we finished the record, because fuck, I should have used this all over the place.
I always remembered the Charlie Wirtz
Yeah, the white
Stevie
Strat.
guitar.
Yeah.
I thought that sound,
Evil.
man, if I can come close to
It
that.
is, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very close.
Totally.
Then there's this one, the good people at Music Man put together for me,
That's awesome. Now,
which I dig. I really dig these.
you used to use these 2 quasi Rickenbacker Telly
Flapjacks.
customs.
Yeah,
Flapjacks?
those are the Meridian.
You don't bring them out anymore?
No, it's the problem with the Meridian flapjacks is not actually a problem. We use those all over the record as well. There's and again, it's just a massive hunk of wood. Necks are massive. Yeah, they're built like Boof and I designed them, and he built them like from scratch. So there's 4 of those, but the cases are all. We can't find a case. I'd have to get them custom made, and it's like, wow, there's the time and the money. That it's just like I just haven't got around to it. And they're starting to get a little bit beat up. The rigors of the road when you're people are throwing stuff around, and I don't want anything to happen to any of those guitars. And I'm waiting on them to build me another one.
Right. Maybe try a old Ricky case or something.
Yeah.
Old
See
Rickenbacker
that? I think he has, but it didn't really work. Yeah, there's another one of Polo's. Here's another one of Paul. Yeah, this is all Polo's gear. Yeah. So you can tell that we're fans of putting things where they're not supposed to be. TV Jones.
Yeah, TV Jones, okay. It's like a repro of one of the old Gretsch
Yeah.
pickups, right?
Yeah. Polo's got his own whole whack of sounds going that he,
Very, very cool, man. Thank you very much for taking us on a tour of your gear, man.
Indeed.